We went looking for three wise men, but could only come up with three grumpy old men. This episode, Viv Anderson talks Player of the Season, Peter Reid talks acting and politics, and Tony Woodcock talks Joanne Lumley and how she wanted to join Spurs. That's all to come on Grumpy Old Men.
This is the first time we've all got it right, by the way. Nobody's
just killed it now.
You know, becoming professional.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I can't hear Rob.
I
just fucking joke. To joke.
We're just saying, as we've just come on air there, really properly, the lads are saying it's the first time we've got it right, so something's bound to go wrong. So let's start with the wrong. Grump of the week. Grump of the last couple of weeks. Tony Woodcock, kick us off.
Grump of the week has been Grump of the year for me. It's with Octopus Energy. They're absolutely killing us, right? Susan, my partner, she's been on it now for a whole year. She has sent, I've got it down here, 64 emails. There's been replies from different people. Nothing's being done. They're charging us a fortune. She's written to the CEO, Mr. Greg Jackson, 5 times with not even getting a message coming back. So anyone out there who's got the same grump, keep on at Octopus Energy. They're not making a very, very good impression. And they're sending bills and you cannot believe, right? We're reading the meters. And if I'm saying we've used 100 watts or something, they're coming back and saying, no, it's 500 watts. How they're getting that sorted out, I don't know. So that's my biggest grump of the week. In fact, biggest grump of the last 12 months.
Named and shamed. Named and shamed. Viv, Reedy, have you got anything?
Nothing compares to that.
Listen, everybody out there, please, we love your support. Subscribe. Just press that subscribe thing to us and get your messages in as well. Reedy, we'll kick off with this one for you because we've got.
Well, I've got another grump.
Go on.
Norman Whiteside, 60. I can't believe he's nearly 9 years younger than me. Have you seen the kid? I'm just illusioned.
Optical illusions. Yeah, please get your messages in. We've had England Lion 62 for Reedy. He says, Reedy, if you had one Everton striker to pick, one of them, out of Sharp, Lineker or Andy Gray, which one would it be?
Sharpie.
Oh.
Just Lineker, great finisher, 40 goals in the season. Andy Gray, charismatic in the dressing room. Lion, when he come to Everton, me and him were crocs. We had bad knees, but Sharpie was always handful. You ask any set of forwards, centre half back in the day about playing against Grange Sharp, and to a man, he'll say, what a good player.
Reedy, you're acting in the Paddy Power advert. What was all that about?
We had a giggle, honestly. It was brilliant. And first of all, Liverpool deserve a champions to be absolutely outstanding. These people who say it hasn't been a great league, you win the league because you're the best, but you still got to have a laugh about it being Everton, haven't you? And we did, and trying to get through it, you know. I was all right with the swear words. I was brilliant, you know. Shit out and fucking. I just couldn't say quadruple. I couldn't get that.
If you were Trent Alexander-Arnold, would you move to Real Madrid?
One of the best clubs in the world. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to one of the best clubs in the world? I remember when I went from Forest to Arsenal, and Cloughie pulled me in, and I said, I'm leaving, my contract's up, blah, 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 blah. And he said, the grass is not always greener, son. Just remember that. So, but I went anyway and enjoyed my time there. So I'm just wishing him all the best.
Yeah, I think it's an individual choice. I think if you look at the game when we were playing, the Bosman rule didn't come in. Nowadays, at the end of your contract, as we all know, it's up to you to pick and choose. And loyalty is a double-ended stick, two-way street. It's like, when clubs sometimes wanted to get rid of players on the transfer list and gone. So he's been brilliant for Liverpool. He's a brilliant player. He's made a choice. Good luck to the lad.
Tony, what did you get out of it? Did you have any regrets that you went, or what were the benefits of going abroad for you?
You got a shitload of money.
That was never a driving point. Well, he's one of them. Yeah.
You wish you'd have gone abroad, or did you have a chance? Were you near to going abroad in your careers? I know we
had a couple of offers to go. Do I wish, looking back, possibly for a new, because I travelled in my managerial career. I went to India and obviously Thailand for a year. Enjoyed both. So yeah, I think it just when you travel different cultures, different countries, I think it educates you, and I think you get more worldwide, if you like. So possibly, I wish I might have done it when I was younger. Yeah, Biff?
It broadens the mind, I must admit, travelling. But no, I never really had an opportunity. There's talk, like in the papers, about Bayern Munich, but realistically, that was never an outcome, really. So I can't complain the clubs I ended up at. But as I say, it's a good opportunity for him. I wish him well.
I had a chance while I was at Cologne. They were completely open with everything. And there was rumours about, I'd just been there, only been there a few months, that Barcelona wanted to buy me. And the coach and his vice file, they said in front of all the team, they said, yeah, we've had an offer, but we refused it. He's staying here. I knew nothing of it, no official offer. About a year later, it comes up again. They said, now there's another offer, Simonson and cash to let him go to Barcelona. I still don't know anything about it, but this is the club telling me, saying we've refused it, that's that. And then the third one came in. They said, right, you've got to get your head around this. They said, right, 2 foreigners allowed. Barcelona said they will come in, they'll buy you, and they will loan you out to an English club. That means I'm an Englishman playing in Germany, being bought by a Spanish club, and being loaned out to an English club. It's a little bit too much, but this day and age, I would have snapped the hand off, no doubt about it. There are ways to get around all that without any problems whatsoever.
Are you surprised City let go of Kevin De Bruyne? And will somebody else in the Premier League snap him up?
Well, I think someone might smart. I think you've got to look at it. You look at age, you look at how much is it going to cost. You're not going to get much back on your investment unless you pick up a few trophies or something like that. I can understand Manchester City's thinking, without a doubt. But yeah, Kevin De Bruyne can still do a job for someone, no doubt about it. But whether he's the right one for Manchester City to give him a longer term contract or not, I'm not so sure, right? Yeah.
Edie?
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, Liverpool have gone down a different route with Van Dijk and Salah. But Manchester City, obviously, with Kevin, I decided to let him go. What I would say, would I have kept him? Possibly have kept him. I think I believe he was carrying a niggle for a few games this season, but he's been one of the greats, and he can still, as we know, get a goal and pick and pass to make it a goal. So, but Pep and Man City decided to go a different way.
I remember a couple of months ago now, and they were talking about Kevin's contract was coming up, and Pep did an interview saying, what Kevin wants to do, I'm quite happy with what he wants to do. Something's changed in that since that interview, because they've come out and said no, they don't want him now. But Pep said whatever Kev wants to do is entirely up to him. If he wants to stay, he can stay, and if he wants to go, he can go. So the clubs have made a decision that they don't want him.
Sorry, I look at it in terms of Kevin De Bruyne. I don't want to prove people wrong as well, and I think he's got that character. We all know what happens when he was a young player at Chelsea, and Man City paid an awful lot of money, and some people thought, wow, this guy's not good enough. But I tell you what, proved a lot of people wrong, and it wouldn't surprise me if in the next couple of seasons, wherever he goes, he does extremely, extremely well.
If you're a football club, you've got to be thinking, how many games are you going to play for me next year? You know, he's on big wages. How many games is he going to play? They'll be looking at cost cutting and all the rest of the things. You know, I like Kevin De Bruyne, and I think if he goes to America or goes to Asia or wherever, he'll still be able to perform. But just don't know how many games I'm going to get out of him a season.
What happened when you guys were let go? What was that conversation like when somebody or manager somewhere said, or maybe it didn't happen to you, I don't know, maybe it was your decision, said, look, I think that's it. I think it's time to move on?
Forest, that was pretty simple. I wasn't signing the contract. Cloughie was really upset. In fact, he was really pissed off with everything. He invited me to lunch after I'd signed pre-contracts and everything, after he told me, we can't give you that contract and we can't do this and we can't do anything else. So he made it easy. So he invited me for lunch and said, oh, the contract you wanted, young man, you've got it. I said, it's too late, boss. I'm already signed and I'm due to go soon, right? Yeah, which he wasn't very happy about. I remember this very well because Joanna Lumley was sitting on the next table. So that was Forest. Arsenal, Cologne went smooth as anything. There was clauses in the contract. I went for English price quite cheaply, right? Because of UEFA rules and regulations. So we knew it's not going to be any problem for Cologne to sell me back if it didn't work out. So that all went smoothly. Came back to Arsenal. Stayed at Arsenal. I was there. I had a 3-year contract. I signed a 4-year contract, an extra year. And it came up again. And in those days, you weren't allowed to offer the players a penny less. Otherwise, you're a free transfer. Well, I get my renewal, which was absolutely crazy, yeah? You know, where they said that I'd agreed on certain things which hadn't been agreed on, and I'd signed a contract. I signed a blank contract. If you can't trust Arsenal, who can you trust? After being there 4 years. And it came back and it went to the tribunal, and I won the case when I should have signed the contract and stayed at Arsenal. But I was so angry about what had happened that my only concern is that I wanted to play for Spurs. So I was negotiating with Spurs. Spurs wanted me at the time. It was all clear. And then Arsenal, in those days, had a much more tighter grip on the players and the transfers. They said, you're not going there in any way whatsoever. And they let me go back to Cologne, which was really good for them to get me out of the way, get me out of England, in fact, for a very, very low fee indeed, which they know that would be agreeable to myself, right, as well. So that was just another case of what happens when, you come into end of contracts.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Joanna Lumley on the table. What's that got to do with it?
Do it.
Hang on. She wasn't.
By the way, Tony's talking there. I didn't hear the way. I'm just thinking about Joanna Lumley.
I know. That's the only reason I can remember it. She sat on the next table. Cliffy had got his green sweatshirt on.
Is that it? I thought it was something else.
That's for another time, Pete. Well, we'll do that next time, okay?
Right.
I was going to just read out. Can I ask, what were your feelings when you walked out of Goodison for the last time? I mean, we talk about the last of Goodison going, the next episode. But what was it? Can you point to words what it was? Did you know it was the last? It was a true emotion.
Tell you what got me. Done everything, left Goodison, and it was emotional. I mean, talking about that with leaving Goodison Park now, into a new stadium. But when you leave such a place where you've had success, and then I travelled to the training ground, Belfield, picked up my boots. That was it. I was in the car and tears in my eyes. That was very emotional. And listen, it's life, but when you've been successful at a club, you are going to be emotional because there were so many good times, and I was gutted. But footy, move on, don't you? Wipe the tears away and get on with it. I think about Joanna Lumley, I would say.
All right, thank you. She wasn't on the table. She was sitting at the table. Yeah. Okay. Let's just get that right. Getting back to emotional goodbyes. Over there when Highbury closed, or the final game at Highbury, and a lot of ex-players were there. But what really hit home to myself is that there was a lot of people who were working on the turnstiles and working in the little shops and cafes around Highbury. They were all crying. And so I spoke to a few of them. They said, well, we've been here, it's been part of our life, and it's been my mother or father's life, and on and on and on over generations. And I said, well, surely, it's going to be a new area. It's going to be, what would you say? Like, it's going to be better. And they go, no, we're all being made redundant. We've all got new ticketing systems coming in where they don't need us anymore and stuff like that. So that was a real, poignant sort of moment, when Highbury's the last day at Highbury, that a lot of people were losing their jobs and they weren't going to be following on in the tradition of their families and, being at the stadium every weekend.
Now, there's every chance that Spurs might end the season with a European trophy, but everybody's saying that Ange Postecoglou is going to be no more. He won't be the Spurs manager, whatever happens. Is that fair?
I quite like him, in fairness. I like what he's very honest in his interviews. But remember, he's in a results business game, But I like him as a person. He seems very honest. I'd like to play for him. He seems very honest and tells you as it is. But it's going to be difficult to keep him, I think. I think that the punters have made the decision already, I think. And it's very difficult once the punters go.
I tend to agree with Viv. Sometimes when the support of the football club go against you, very difficult to stop that side.
If you get rid of him, we've got the same old thing again. Who are you going to go for? Which one's it coming now? Now, Tottenham have had quite a few managers in the past, right? I would tend to stick with him, right? And, let him get his act together, start winning some games and win over the supporters if they are actually turning against him, right? Because, they don't look a particularly good team.
He didn't help his cause, Tony, when he said, I always win something in my second season. Everybody's going to hold that against him, aren't they? Sometimes you best say nothing.
Yeah, well, you know what it's like. He probably did until this at Tottenham. Yeah. So, who knows what's going to happen? You don't know with Tottenham, right? You really don't know what's going to happen there, right? I know their fans are disgruntled. I've been there once. I got invited to go for the next game. I've turned it down. I said I've got family matters and things like that. Beautiful stadium, and a lot of the fans were saying to me, "This is not a football club. This is an entertainment club," right? Because of the stadium and everything that's happening there. So disgruntled. Half of North London's pretty happy, and they're happy to see Tottenham not doing too well.
If Ange is sitting there, Reedy, thinking, "I'm going to get the can," did you ever have that situation where you thought, I know I'm going to get the sack here?
I mean, you look at results. I mean, it's coming. And they've mentioned it before. Football's about winning football matches. If you're a manager, when I went to Sunderland, I knew I was losing too many football matches. Fact of life.
The 15th, Reedy.
Yeah.
15th. God, Tottenham Hotspur, 15th. Well, Man United's not much higher.
Well, I know. But it's like anything else, Viv, and I take Tony's point, who did he go and get? But when the crowd are against a particular coach or manager, I think it's really, really difficult to turn around. What I would say is that he does seem a fighter. You see him in his interviews, and he's always up for them, never ducks it, but I think it's going to be really difficult.
It's the time of the season where the medals and the awards are all handed out. So let's finish on this one, fellas. Who's your player of the season?
Me? Alexander Usyk. Is it the Tottenham, the Newcastle second forward? I think he's got 28 goals, 40 odd appearances. He's been a really good player for them. Talisman, excellent. They talk about him going to bigger clubs, but I don't know who in particular. But for me, Usyk was been a really good player.
I think invariably you got to go for the team that wins the Premiership, mate.
Yeah,
and pick one of the Liverpool players.
Go on then.
He says through gritted teeth. Who would you pick? I mean, I think the goalie has been absolutely outstanding.
Unbelievable.
Who?
And by the way, people don't mention Alisson. They don't mention, but in certain games, and I'm not saying anything about to get away from Liverpool. Salah's got important goals. McAllister's been brilliant in the middle of the park. Van Dijk's been solid at the back. You know, there's players you could pick, but when you're taking certain games, I think Alisson has been absolutely brilliant.
He must have missed 3 months of the season.
He was injured. He has been injured, yeah.
He's been injured.
Yeah, so what? I mean, he won football matches for them.
Thank you. Peter Reid, Tony Woodcock, Viv Anderson. Please subscribe. We'd love to have you along with us. And also send your messages in as well. We'll answer them. We've got another episode coming up, I think just shortly after the end of the season as well. So please get involved. Please subscribe. Fellas, thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Cheers.
See you next week, lads. Yeah.
Hang on, we've got to do the intro.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe I can't believe, Viv, you didn't stand up for Bruno Fernandes for player of the year.
You can't have a player of the year. His fucking team's a 16th.
Yes, you can. He's kept them up.
Or Gravenberch, I would have said.
Quiz question for you. Do you know who invented the playoffs?
Mr. Playoff?
The playoffs. Two ex-Fulham players.
Jimmy Hill.
No.
Rodney Marsh.
No, John Mitchell and Bobby Moore.
Bobby Moore.
Bobby
Moore.
John Mitchell and Bobby Moore had a marketing company together called Mitchell Marketing Associates.
He was the centre forward, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And they were asked by Barclays, who was sponsoring at the time, to come up with an end-of-season game. And do you remember those first playoffs? It was about who got promotion and relegation. So the third team got in the promotions played the third team in relegation. But that was John Mitchell and Bobby Moore.
Right.
You learn something new every day.
They do that in Germany. Third position, second division against the third last in the Bundesliga. They got 2 games. See who stays in or goes up.
Yeah, it's been brilliant because there were so many dead rubbers back in the day.
Yeah.
People were bored going there. Players who had the flip-flops on, suntan out. Now, is promotion, relegation, invariably it goes to the wire.
Yeah. And it's more exciting for the punters.
Without a doubt.
Right, so Rob, intro. Today we're talking about De Bruyne, Postecoglou and Octopus Energy. Yes, you heard that right.
Well, I was going to say, Woody's talking Joanne Lovely.
Woody,
Talking.
Woody kept talking, I'm going, Joanne Lumley.
What? Just
On the next table with no clothes on. I can't believe that.
I didn't say the table was in some lap dancing club, did I? Where I met him. Yeah.
But we thought
and then Rob ends with as Octopus Energy or whatever, as he also admits he wanted to join Spurs.
That's going to go down well here, right? Yeah, walking the streets, yeah.
Just for spite. He wanted to go to Spurs just to spite Robert.
yeah, no.
I should have stayed. That's a really big story, that is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Charles Woods.
How come they got rid of me? Yeah. Private life.
Can I say he wanted to join Spurs? Can I say that?
However you want to say
almost. Just say almost, not wanted. Almost joined Spurs.
Say wanted.
Yeah.
Say definitely wanted to go to Spurs.
Tony Woodcock was desperate to go to Spain.
Tony, your actual words.
Taking his wages just to go.
Tony, your actual words were, "I beg to go to Spurs."
And they were.
Whoa!
I said,
"Good luck going out tonight, son."
All the best, Woody.
Yeah. I'll say I got this from Peter Reid, when he wanted to go to Liverpool. Yeah.
Hey, you can't get out of it, lads.